Hello everybody, this is Maurice Kane from the City of David and from mauricelevels.com. So today I'm going to share something very practical for many people who are looking for a breakthrough in their lives, especially when it comes to a material breakthrough, when it comes to finances, anything related to a prosperity breakthrough. And today's message is not really going to be like one of those formal or those rigid teaching that I like to give, but I will share a personal story and then I will end up with a few Bible verses that I will read that will obviously help you to actually understand the benefit of the message that I will be sharing. So, in my personal life, I've met quite a lot of people who have been asking me for prayers, and they say things like, Maurice, can you please pray for me? I'm looking for a breakthrough. I'm trying to see a breakthrough in my life. I want to prosper. I want to break the limits around me. Maurice, please pray for me because I do sense that there are quite a lot of limitations around me. I'm limited in many of the things I'm trying to do. Maurice. And I do understand that those prayers are legitimate concerns, and it's quite very difficult to say no to this kind of request, especially when we are aware of the realities that those people are experiencing. Realities such as shortage of food, incapacity or inability to pay the bills, health concerns, and so many other things. But today I would like to share a story. I'm going to share a quick story about myself, and I hope that you will draw a lesson from it. So, first of all, I think that some of you know me as a writer, as a blogger, as a Bible teacher who shares the Word of God through biblical teachings, through a blog, through writing. And some of you actually assume that I am preaching full-time to people, which is not the case. I am not a full-time preacher. But I'm a full-time Christian, if I can say that way. So you gotta be a Christian all the time. But I'm not a full-time preacher in a sense where I just only do that for a living. Actually, though I preach and I teach the Word of God, I work as a business consultant. So I do have my own consulting practice. And I've been running my own consulting practice for the past 5 years. I thank God that my consulting practice is still alive and I'm still able to service customers. So in 2017, I was laid off from my job, from my very last job. I was totally laid off on the phone. One day my boss came back from the US and he came in South Africa where I live. And he gave me a call to let me know that I was let go, on the phone. I couldn't come to work anymore because apparently the company was bankrupt. There was no more money to pay employees. It was kind of a big secret that was revealed a bit late. And I was laid off, just like that. So after a few months after I was laid off, I decided to start my own consulting practice. And originally, my consulting practice was designed to offer training services. So when I launched my consulting practice, I started selling a specific training service, which kind of went well because right at the beginning, I managed to get actually 2 good clients. We came from outside the country, inside the country, and I was able to actually offer them the course, and things went well. They paid me well. They had a good experience, and then they went back to their country. I thought for a moment that the same formula, the same result I had produced on my first gig or on my first client was going to be repeated over and over again. Unfortunately, I got hit in the face. And I think this is one of the common experience that most entrepreneurs have been going through in the first year of their ventures. So right after I succeeded getting 2 clients, and right after I succeeded delivering my training service, I thought I was going to repeat the same result, but it didn't work out that way. So it turned out that people were no longer interested in my training, and nobody wanted actually to come and assist to any of my conferences or my training. For like 5 or 6 months, 5 or 6 months, there was no money coming in. Excuse me. There was no money coming in. There was no money. Nobody was even interested in buying my services, and things went south. Things went south. Things were terrible, you know. Things were just terrible. And look, I'm just going to be real with you. Things were just terrible. I couldn't actually pay anything. I couldn't pay my bills. Everything was just flat. There was nothing going on. And it got actually so bad because I was still a small consulting practice. So it was only just me. I had one employee for the first gig or the first training that I organized, but I had only employed her for a period of 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I did not work with her anymore. So it was just a part-time job. So in the beginning, I was just working on my own, and I had a computer. I was working from home. I was using an old computer, and it got so bad that I had actually to take my computer, because I had no more money. I had to take my computer, go to a pawn shop, pawn the computer to get some money in exchange, with the hope of coming back later and pay back the pawn shop so that he can give me back my laptop. That's how bad, not even a laptop, it was an old computer actually. That's how bad things went south. You know, things just went south, totally south. And around March 2018, if I remember well, somewhere there between February and March 2018, I had a cousin sister who lived in the same city where I was living, and she had lost her father. Her father had passed away. Now, since her father had passed away, I went to her place to mourn the death of her father. And the father had passed away in another place, not in the same city, but in another place. And it was a very, very sad experience. Obviously, I mean, that's what happens when somebody passes away. Everybody gets sad, and she was very sad. But the worst part was the fact that she was having financial problems. Her husband was also having some financial problems, and she actually needed to send some money home to contribute toward the funeral of her father. And I will always remember a specific night during the funeral where I went in a place and I slept over there with other people who were also present at the funeral. Let me just explain something quick. So, well, here in Africa, for those who are not in Africa, here in Africa, when there's a funeral, we tend to spend as much time with the grieving people. So we also sleep over at the places. I know it's something that might not be done in other continents, but that's the way we do it here in Africa. Black people, that's how we do it. So during the funeral, I went to a place and I slept there. And I remember very well, while I was sleeping in the living room, okay, so the place where she was filled with people all over, because people were sleeping almost everywhere on the floor, in the kitchen, in the bedroom. And I was sleeping in the living room. And around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard somebody crying. And I looked on my right, and I saw her. I saw my cousin sister. She was on the floor seated, and she was crying. She was crying. And she was mourning and crying. And not only she was crying the death of her father, but she was crying due to the fact that she had no money to send her father, to contribute to her father's funeral. She had no money at all. And she was crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And I stayed there, and some of the people with me, of course, were trying to console her and tell her that it's going to be okay, don't cry, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And in the morning, I left her place to go back to my place, and I got revolted inside of me. Clearly revolted, because at the point of greatest need, I was present, but I had nothing financially to give that could actually help her. And I was very irritated with myself. You know, some of you, let me tell you something. You know, some of you listening to me, those who are actually crying for a breakthrough and asking for prayer, some of you are broke all the time because you are not even revolted with the state you are in. You're just broke because you find it normal. You're not even revolted. There's gotta be a point in life where you gotta be revolted with yourself, revolted with the way that things are going on and all the things that you're experiencing. So I go home, I go to my place, and I was so revolted. And I said to myself, I've been spending about 5 months trying to get new clients, and it's not working. I was so fed up. So, like I mentioned earlier, I had no computer on me, and the only way for me to actually access the internet was either through a phone or through the internet cafe. Yep, these are the realities of being an entrepreneur. It's not always beautiful glitz and glams as people think it is. So, you know what I did? I went straight. I was very, very broke. I was like stinking broke back then. I went to the city center and actually walked to that place, to the city center, to the library. There's a public library in the city center where there's internet and people could actually access the internet for free. Now, let me just open a quick bracket. If you're a man, if you're a guy, you're a man, okay? And I'm talking to my fellow men. You are a man and you are broke and you want to get out of your situations. You cannot use a silly excuse such as, there's no transportation, I cannot go to that business meeting. Or an excuse such as, oh, this car is a dirty car, I cannot use it to go to that business meeting. No. If you don't have the means to go to the destination where you're supposed to go, you must walk. And I'm being serious about it. If you're a guy, you walk. You just walk. You just don't come up with an excuse and say, as if you're a little queen who now is supposed to be pampered and receive chocolate all the time. No, if you're a guy and you need to come out of a situation, you walk, period. Okay, if you don't have the car, you just walk. If you don't have the transportation or something to get to the destination where you're supposed to go, God gave you feet, you just walk, period. There's no excuse on that. So I walked and I went there, and I went to the internet cafe, and it was free. God bless them for that. It was free. Let me open another bracket as well. You know, sometimes you don't always need money for everything. You need to be resourceful when you need to come out of certain situations. Some of you constantly think that you need money for everything. That's why you can't come out of the situation. You can't think of other tools that can actually help you access some of the solutions that you need. So you constantly think that you need money for every single thing. No, not always. Sometimes you got to be creative, resourceful. You got to ask yourself some questions on alternatives that can be used to actually access the solutions you need. So I went and I found myself in the library, and I decided to market some services. Different from the training that I was actually offering. And I'm going to give you another quick lesson for entrepreneurs. Quick lesson that I've learned. Never fall in love with your product. Never fall in love with your product. Never do that. Don't fall in love with your product. Don't fall in love with your product. Because if the product doesn't work, then what's going to happen is, if you're in love with the product that doesn't work, then it's going to be difficult for you to divorce it. And you'll keep on being broke and it's not going to work. There are certain points, certain time in life where you're going to have to divorce completely from a product and embrace a new one so that you can actually, make some money and all that stuff. So I went on the internet and I advertised 7 different services. 7. And I wanted to see which one was going to work. Now, the reason why I was there in that library was for me to be able to generate or to find ways to find funds that I could use to help my cousin sister, because I wanted to help her. So I was led by a need of helping her. And I've advertised 7 different products. 7. All right, 7. There was, I still remember, there was, among the 7 products, I think there was a marketing service that I was advertising. There was another one that I was advertising that was dealing with PR. There was, there were so many services. 7. And after advertising the 7 services, I went home. Guess what happens? After 2 days, or I think 2 days after I advertised the service, or maybe one day, I think it was one day or 2 days, I'm trying to remember very well. Somebody sent me an email, and he was interested in one of the services that I was actually advertising. And that service was actually related to translations and linguistic services. And he emails me and he says, wow, can you help me out with this and that? I need this document to be translated. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. Of course, I can. And I did it, and I told him how much I was going to charge. And guess what? I sent him an invoice, and he pays me. Boom. And on that day, I had the money to actually help my sister, my cousin sister. But the story doesn't end there. The beauty of the story is that not only I had found money for that day, okay, to help my cousin sister in her situation, but I had managed to actually give my company a new direction that would not have been possible that I would have never found if I was a selfish person, if I was a self-centered person. But because I decided to actually go out of my way and to do something for somebody else, then my thinking capacities got open. The possibilities in my eyes got open. I decided to divorce from a service I really loved. And I was open to new things. So I decided to actually go out of my way. And I had found a breakthrough. And guess what? Till today, I'm still selling that service. It is still making money for me. I've met so many people. I've met some great deals, believe me, because I wanted to help my cousin sister. Now, what is basically the lesson I wanted to share in that is that so many of you are looking for a breakthrough, whether you are working somewhere, whether you are unemployed, or whether you are self-employed. But one of the reasons why so many people don't find a breakthrough is because they only live for themselves. So when they wake up in the morning, it's all about themselves. It's all about their spouse and their kids, and it ends there. Everything ends there. When was the last time you asked yourself the question about what you could do for your community, for your church, for a family member who is not part of your small family circle? And by small family circle, I mean your wife or spouse and your kids. When was the last time you thought about doing something for people around you? You know, people that you don't always know. When was the last time you actually asked yourself a few questions related to what you could do to help others? So, what I want to say is that when you live so much for yourselves, you are more likely to actually never find a breakthrough. You're not really going to find a breakthrough. But when you really want to help other people, when I go out of your way, then it's likely that you're going to find solutions, because you'll be thinking beyond yourself. You'll be thinking beyond your bills. You'll be thinking beyond your regular meals, your daily meals. You'll be thinking beyond that. And as a result, be expected to even see God dropping ideas into your head. You know, that's one thing. Now, I'm gonna close up this message with two beautiful passages from the Bible, from the book of Proverbs. And the first passage is a very, very popular passage that is found in the book of Proverbs 18, chapter 18, in verse 16. And it says, in the New Living Translations, giving a gift can open doors. It gives access to important people. You see, the beauty of the story of what I just told you is that I was willing to make a gift. I was willing to make a difference in the life of my cousin sister. And guess what? Um, it has basically, it has basically, because I was willing, because I was giving myself into it, it has opened doors to my own business. And as a result of that, as the years went on, I ended up actually meeting very interesting people in that industry. Very, very powerful people as well. I can really attest to that. Now, the second passage I want to read is in the book of Proverbs, chapter 11, in verse 25. It is written, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." You see, it's not always about the prayer, and it's not always about how people will pray for you. Because sometimes I could even pray for you. I can pray for you and say things upon you and bless you. But if you're not a generous person, if you're not willing to refresh others, if you are constantly self-centered, if you are the type of person who never makes gifts, it's less likely that you will prosper in life. It's less likely that you will find the breakthrough that you're looking for. I say again, Christian life is not about speaking or just talking. It's about walking the talk. It's about practicing what Jesus says. It's about practicing what the Bible says. And generosity is not about mere talk. It's about the practice of giving something. It could be your time, your resources, your knowledge. But you cannot be generous by just by talking it. You got to do something and practice something that will impact others. That's what generosity is about. Okay, so you can talk as much as you want. You can say as many things as you want. But as long as you do not impact other people positively, and as long as you do not build up things positively in their lives, then for me, you're not a generous person, and you won't really access the blessings that are linked to the generosity. It doesn't matter who prays for you. It's going to be very, 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 and I mean very, very difficult and less likely. So I hope that I've been able to give you some good insights, especially if you're the type of person who's looking for a breakthrough, and especially if you're an entrepreneur. I hope that you've learned quite a lot of, I hope that you've taken a lot of nuggets from this lesson, from this message. And I will see you in my next video. God bless you. Goodbye now.